right, welcome everybody to this episode of O365Eh. Today we're joined by our special guest, Ståle Hansen. He's a fellow longtime Microsoft MVP and the founder and principal cloud architect at Cloudway. So with that, Ståle, I'll turn it over to you. Maybe you can just do a quick intro about yourself and Cloudway.
Sure. My name is Ståle Hansen, as you said. Thank you very much. Been an MVP since, or at least for 11 years, maybe 12, we will see. And been focusing on Sky for Business, Link, and OCS. That's where I met you guys. And now focusing on Teams and how to work smart in Microsoft 365 as well. I talk about this concept called digital well-being, how to work smarter and succeed with the tools within Microsoft 365 and collaborate in a good way in Teams and so on. In 2016, I founded the Cloudway, and we are now 11 people in 5 countries. 10 of us are MVPs. So I like to call us kind of like a Microsoft 365 think tank, because we are covering all aspects of Microsoft 365, not just the productivity part, as you guys know me, but we also do identity, we do endpoint management, we do compliance, and we do adoption and Viva. So it's exciting times.
Good stuff.
That's great, Ståle. So that's a really good segue for my question, actually, because or what I want to ask you. So obviously, you know, majority of the world has moved into cloud services, or a good amount of them have, right? And they're using them as their primary productivity suite. So all the collaboration services like Teams and Exchange, et cetera. And then Viva's come along. And so, you know, with that whole, you know, how do I make myself more effective, and from not just a business perspective, but as a user, how do you see organizations, or what is Cloudway seeing the organizations that you're working with in terms of these adoptions and leveraging those applications like Viva?
Yeah, so what we are seeing is that at Cloudway we are like 5 people who do Teams and different aspects of Teams. And what we're seeing is that Teams is mainstream now. Most organizations have some kind of Teams implemented. We're not getting the same type of projects anymore. Now we are moving more over to, as you say, how to work more effectively with Teams, with what you already got. And there's a huge potential there, because recently I talked to an organization and say, yeah, we moved from Sky for Business to Teams. We love chat, we hate the channels. And I was like, yeah, well, you know, Teams is built in a different way, and you might need to change the way you're working in order to utilize the power of what's in Teams. And that's where I think Viva comes in, because Viva, especially Viva Insights, can highlight the work culture you have within your organization. The way we are looking at Viva Insights and the Viva Suite is that it helps you understand why you are going to change the way you're working, because now we are looking at how you're using the technology, not just that you have access to it. It's such a big difference, because we're seeing way too much that people have like ported over the way they work with email since 2005 and Sky for Business since they moved over to Teams. And I think we need to spend the next decade or this decade on optimizing the way we work smarter with modern technologies like Teams.
Very cool. What do you, in terms of adoption, like what are you seeing for real world use cases for Viva? Like which of the modules are you seeing, or what kind of scenarios are you seeing right now in your practice?
So we've been working a lot with Viva for the past years. We run a lot of the Microsoft workshops with enterprises, and of course we try to help them adopting what's included within Microsoft 365, which is Viva Connections, where you get the dashboard in your SharePoint intranet, and you get access to that through Teams and even Teams Mobile. We see that they're interested in Viva Learning in terms of bubbling up learning content they already have stored in SharePoint. That's included. And then we talk to them about digital well-being and how and the science behind the Viva Insights, the science for why you should use virtual commute to end your day, to reflect at the end of the day, look at your tasks and so on, why you should use focus time, that time management system, or time boxing, as you call it, to like try to do something focused for 30 minutes instead of working unfocused for a whole day and get almost the same thing done. We need to talk about the science behind that. So we do a lot of that, but we're seeing increased interest in Viva Topics, which is a premium feature, because Viva Topics can help organizations highlight their internal jargon, their internal way of like the products, their projects. Maybe they have made some decisions and always refer to that as, oh, our big leap or something like that. And then you can tag that, and new employees can then easily read up on that and see who is in the lead of that, maybe find some documentation on that. And I think that is very powerful. But I'm talking more and more about OKRs in Viva Goals. OKRs is not something which is specific for Microsoft. It stands for Objectives and Key Results. It's just a methodology in order for an organization to find their purpose, their goals, their stretch goals, and how to get everyone push in the same direction, instead of like if you have lots of passionate people that pull and push in all different directions. Let's focus that in one way, and that's very exciting actually, and very interesting. So yeah, I think the whole Viva suite is of interest, but let's try with what you already have at least.
Nice. Yeah, I was going to ask about the Viva goals, because the strategic, objectives and priorities and, corporate directions are really key these days, especially in times of recession. So, that's relatively new, the Viva goals tool. So that's good to hear that organizations are interested in that.
Yeah, and I think there's two things that's interesting with Viva Goals. One is it integrates with Microsoft products, so it integrates with Planner, integrates with Excel. Some people cringe when I say that, but a lot of metrics are measured through Excel still. Excel Online though. But the more interesting one is Power BI. So if you have like Power BI reporting already today, that can then automatically update your key initiatives and your key results, so that you don't have to manually go and update to get that, where are we, how are we doing, and so on. And the second thing I think is very interesting with OKRs is that is the way to talk about the business. That is the way to tell everyone in the business how we are doing. So we are trying to implement OKRs at Cloudway now, and typically an OKR process is over 2 years. It's to really start succeeding with it. So you need to start somewhere and then tune it and educate your employees as well. But I think when you have started with it, and you have something to talk about at all hands meetings, at the company retreats and so on, because, okay, let's talk about the OKRs and how we're doing. Should we adjust them? Should we tune them? What more can we do here? Instead of like talking about random things that only senior leadership is interested in.
Nice.
So kind of continuing on the employee experience, maybe a little bit outside of Viva, what are you seeing from a trend or challenges as organizations are going, back into the office, or trying to promote hybrid work around, kind of meeting rooms and devices and phone system? Yes. Yes.
Absolutely. Hybrid meetings and getting back to the office is, I guess, is a challenge. We see more and more companies now equipping their rooms with proper equipment. But we also see companies very interested in Microsoft Spaces that was announced some time ago. And because they need to plan their space in a different way, they want to to have this open landscape. Maybe they want to have some quiet rooms. Maybe they should be bookable, and so on. So organizations are more interested than ever in planning out their space and making sure it's utilized. Maybe they don't even have enough space for everyone to be in the office at the same time. So we see that kind of interests. What's very interesting is that the Teams rooms on Android are getting better and better and better, which means that it's an approachable way of equipping the rooms with proper equipment. And it doesn't have to be this huge deployment. It's easy to get started with. So I think that's very interesting. There's a lot of I'm very surprised actually about the direction Microsoft had. The Teams rooms of Android started out like this collaboration bar, should be super simple, low quality, and now it's moving over to more feature parity with the Windows devices. And maybe that's easier to deploy and easier to manage, at least when you have a few of them. So we're seeing companies more and more equipping the room for that, and then making sure that you're succeeding with the hybrid meeting, succeeding with people in the room and people not being in the room. And I worked with a customer where the senior leadership stated that it is a competitive advantage to succeed with hybrid meetings for us as an employer to attract new talent. Because then you don't have everyone to be in the office in order to have a good meeting. People can be where they are, and we can still succeed with a good collaboration. Another thing that we are seeing is that you need to be more specific on when you're inviting to meetings. If you think in your head that, hey, everyone should come to the office for this meeting, then you need to state that more specifically these days and be like, hey, I want everyone to come in the office for this meeting, instead of like leaving it up to the meeting attendees in order to like decide where to go. But all meetings, of course, should have a Teams link so that if something happens, you don't have to spend 5 minutes trying to get hold of the people in the room to give you a Teams link or call you up or something. So yeah, it's more complicated today, I would say, than it has ever been having meetings in an organization.
All right. I want to pivot a bit and talk about the latest, greatest thing that everyone's talking about. So ChatGPT and AI, and despite all the attention, I mean, Microsoft themselves is making a major commitment and almost pivoting the company around this technology with new language models and different models in the whole AI space. And we know they're on record as saying they're going to put that technology in their M365 suite, probably every Microsoft product. I'm interested, Ståle. I mean, you've been in the sort of digital wellness, effectiveness, optimization space for a while. Are you excited about the potential of this technology to really help people optimize their work and optimize organizational collaboration?
Yes. I've been using ChatGPT myself on a personal level in terms of as a public speaker. It's all about those fantastic abstracts, in order to like get the attention of the audience and getting them to choose your session. So I've been collaborating with ChatGPT in order to like tune my content, not the slide decks. They can probably do that as well. But to like get started on how I should describe a topic, for instance. And I think that's the interesting way of using OpenAI and ChatGPT is to as a collaborative service, and don't leave everything, like ask the question and take it raw and then to publish it as your own. I don't think that's a good idea. But I don't remember where I saw it, but it has been like said that in the future there will be an AI component to everything you do, so you can converse with it. You can tell it, I want this, this, and that. Make a start for me, and then I can start tuning it instead of me thinking about everything from scratch. So I think that's very interesting. And Microsoft saying they're going to integrate this in in Microsoft products as well. It's going to be very interesting in terms of finding information again. I think that's something a lot of organizations struggle with, is that so much content gets produced and so much similar content gets produced. So when you can have a conversation with the search engine about refining your search and asking specific questions and getting answers and getting then links back to where that content was found, super interesting. I think I think it will change in a very fast way the way we reuse knowledge moving forward internally in organizations and when searching on the internet as well. So yeah, but use it as this conversational assistant more than like getting like the full answer. It's more like a conversation, I would say.
Yeah, good points. And some other use cases I see, back to the challenge of finding the right information in an organization, the ability to summarize search results across large amounts of data, I think will be really useful.
And then you can ask a follow-up question regarding that summary again, which is very interesting.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, this has been really, really useful, Ståle. I could ask you a whole bunch of more questions around OKRs. I'm very interested in that tool set, but maybe that's a future podcast. We can see how that plays out in organizations that deploy it. Because as you said, it takes some tuning, it takes some time to fully realize the value. So with that, I want to thank you. Of course, Ståle's a longtime MVP. We've all known him for a long time. It's been great to see you and catch up. And we'll catch everyone on the next episode. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks.